Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be talking about how Israel is losing the propaganda war. I make a ton of videos on this, but they're just taking so many L's right now that it's really worth going over all the L's that they're taking, because they're taking L's at a governmental level, at their propaganda level, at an individual Zionist level, just over and over and over again. They're taking a ton of L's. So here we have a post on how Ben Shapiro is slamming his colleague, real Candace Owens, for her absolutely disgraceful behavior, he says, in front of a visibly shocked audience. Shapiro goes on saying her Fox sophistication on this issue is ridiculous. And so we're not going to watch the video, but it's worth, if you want to see it, you can obviously see it as well, but it's worth going over that this is Ben Shapiro, who's one of the founders of Daily Wire. He's one of the bosses there, and he's bad-mouthing one of his own employees in front of an audience like this. Sure, I don't think he understood he was being videotaped, but that doesn't make it right that he's bad-mouthing his employee at this event. It's obviously a decently sized event because he has a microphone in his hand. So we see that Candace Owens is responding in this Twitter thread, and so I think it's worth going over this Twitter thread. So Candace Owens starts off talking about blessed, she's going over Bible quotes. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. And her second post is Christ is King. Okay, so nothing about this has to do with Ben Shapiro. Okay, you don't even have to interpret this as having to do with Zionism. This is literally just her saying that she plans on serving God and not being influenced by money. This is Ben Shapiro's response. Okay, this is him not talking privately with his colleague. He goes on social media and says, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit. Okay? So her response is, you've been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now, and now we all have to sit back and allow it, and have all tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotions. So this is the guy, Ben Shapiro, who's supposed to be about facts and logic, and he's just been completely unhinged for weeks. So she goes on to say, but you cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it. So he's saying you can leave the company if you don't like. So essentially, okay, just to summarize, she says something scripturally based, biblically based. He takes it personally, tells her she can leave the company. Just ridiculous to air this grievance on social media. And so she goes on to say, you're utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you. Christ is King. So, wow, that's just Ben Shapiro and his very clear, very apparent hostility towards Christianity, to the point where he's offended that she says Christ is King. He's offended that she quotes scripture, even when she's not mentioning him whatsoever. And the fact that he, in a very unprofessional manner, brings this up online instead of bringing this to her face. So now we have two examples. We have one example of him in an event bad-mouthing kind of his employee. He's not, from what I understand, in charge of the day-to-day operations of things right now, but he is like a founder of Daily Wire, and he's bad-mouthing her in a public event where there's a large enough audience that he needs a microphone, and he gets caught on videotape. And then he's also bad-mouthing her literally online where everyone could see it. Okay, this is essentially his employee, and he's doing this to her because she quoted scripture. Just wild, the types of things that he is willing to say. And so I would encourage you to go read or go view Candace Owens' video, her interview with Tucker Carlson. It was very good, and it goes into this information in a lot more detail. And they also touch upon other topics about how the Zionists have been encouraging anti-white hostility for a long time, and they've been doing it in academia, and they've been training people to be hostile towards white people throughout the education system. And then all of a sudden, they're trying to reform education system to not be as woke, because that anti-white hostility has been turned on the Zionist people as well. And so there's been a number of really great takes coming out of people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson recently that I would encourage you to check out. But we see that the propaganda coming out of the Zionists is just not working. Here we see a post by Israel in New York. 290,000 people at March for Israel today. Thank you all for showing up in support of Israel and the Jewish people. Okay, so the title of this account, Israel in New York, that tells you that New York is occupied by a foreign country, which should be concerning to people, but for some reason it's just not concerning to people. 2, if you're listening to this and not watching it, there is no way this is 290,000 people. They've done analyses of how many people are in this picture, and at most it's something like 40,000, most likely around 30,000. And it's just hilarious that the most they can get out, and I've seen posts about how they're offering college students hundreds of dollars in order to go to these types of events, these pro-Israel events. The fact that they could only get 30-ish thousand people, even if they're paying them, literally paying them to go there, shows you how little support that Israel has, whereas Palestine regularly gets over 500,000 people for its own rallies. So really, really funny. Let's see what type of takes we have in the comment section. Okay, so they have one post here saying funny because this is what 250,000 people look like August 28th, 1963. And so they show a picture of 250,000 people versus the 290,000 people that Zionist propaganda says was actually at the current rally. So you could just clearly see that they're lying, just complete fabrication, completely making up information. Let's see what else. Oh, and one other funny thing is, in the second post, Israel in New York, the account says, they say, they're showing a number of posts that support what they said about 290,000 people. But the thing is, all these different media and entertainment outlets are also Zionist controlled. So what they're doing is, as supporting evidence, because they can't actually show 290,000, 300,000 people there, what they're doing is they're using their other aspects of their propaganda apparatus to support what they're currently saying. So just ridiculous. That's not what evidence is. Like, if you have critical thinking skills, you're going to be like, well, wait a minute. These other outlets are also controlled by Zionists. So why, if I don't believe what you're saying, why would I believe you when you're citing sources that are literally just you? Okay. And so that's kind of the situation we find ourselves in, where Zionists are citing other Zionists as evidence to support their arguments. And all it is Zionists saying that other Zionists are right. It's just, it's such cyclical logic that just does not make any sense at all. If there were 290,000 people there, fine, show us the evidence, because the picture you're showing right now is not 290,000 people. So anyways, I could get into more detail about this later. I love talking about this, but I'm trying to keep the videos somewhat reasonably sized because I know people don't want to watch overly long videos. So we will cut it off there. If you found this video to be helpful, please leave us a thumbs up, a like. It helps us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel for more content on YouTube and Rumble. Please leave us a comment in the comment box below, questions, concerns, critiques you might have. I read all of them. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.